Hello, and welcome to the Night Night Podcast. Right now, I'm smoking, and I figured why not make a video? Something. I don't know what I'm doing. Uh, so Night Night Podcast. We're going back to the typical formula of telling stories. Uh, I figured I'd try to be productive and make up a story that actually goes with something. So this is the story of the Spider-Man. Not Spider Man. It's Spider hyphen Man or whatever. Oh, wait. No wait. Spider Man's already Spider hyphen Man. Whatever. It's spelled differently. Whatever. Uh, let's see. How are we gonna go about this? Uh, who who is this Spider Man? Uh, this Spider Man. Let's say his name is Franz. Franz Franz Decay. I don't know. Franz Decay. So Franz Decay grew up in an ordinary house. He was uh, from Marvel Book. And what is Marvel? I haven't written much for Marvel Book. What is Marvel Book known for? Let's say that, you know what, let's not go with what it's known for. Let's just say that Franz was a bookbinder. He made leather bound books. And if somebody's book had fallen apart, he could take the pages and replace the bindings and all that junk. And his family came from uh, great writers or whatever, so this was seen as a kind of beneath. Like his father was a great writer, his mother was a great writer, and they both came from families of fantastic writers, and this guy was a bookbinder. So one day he decided to go out on a quest because he wanted to find something to I made the fire too big. Something to put in his adventures, Uh, put in his ventures. He wanted to find some adventure to, gauge his creativity and create just the greatest story ever. So, with the little amount of money that he had, he traveled all the way to Pelion. Pelion is a very fine, rich city, uh, full of it's like a clean. This is like medieval type era or whatever, and this place has for the time pretty much clean streets. Uh, it's mostly middle and upper class. Like there's not that many poor people there. Uh, so he went there for because there's lots of work there. There's adventures there. There's all kinds of junk there. Uh, he stopped at an inn and he asked the innkeeper, what kind of interesting stuff is there. Okay. What kind of adventures are there? What kind of, I don't know. Maybe he was like, is there any jobs out there? Something that someone's requesting or whatever. I'll do anything. And she said, well, uh, the the what is it called? Uh, what is the word? The sheriff. That's the word I'm looking for. The sheriff of some part of the city, I guess. I don't know if it would have multiple. Depends on how big the city is, which I haven't really thought too much about that. I imagine it's probably a pretty big city, though. Or, I'm sorry. Whatever. Uh, I've confused a lot of things in my brain and I've messed things up. But who cares? Let's march onward. So, this sheriff said that um, there is this um, powerful phantom that is, attacking and stealing from people. And we don't have the time to deal with that because we've got a bunch of other crap that we're dealing with. So we're hiring someone to find um, um, uh, 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 I don't know, an enchanter or something. Go over to Iveltart and find someone who knows magic to get rid of this creature or whatever. If they have any knowledge or books or anything that might get rid of this phantom. So he said, "Yeah, I'll do it. This will make a great story. I'll be the powerful. I'll be the great adventurer who has destroyed the phantom that is attacking Pelion, and I'll become famous and all of that junk or whatever. Because this is gonna be an issue. Uh, dang it. Uh, I don't know how to do this. Maybe that'll help. What was it saying? Something about, okay, so, you know, because he's being told by the sheriff to do this or whatever, he's given some money and some supplies or whatever, and he's like, oh man, this is an actual adventure. I've got a horse. I've got. I'm not just walking everywhere, and I've got supplies for days or whatever. So he travels on this horse or whatever, and eventually he makes it to uh, Iveltart, and he has no clue where to look. All he knows about Iveltart is that, there's magic here. Uh, while in Iveltart, uh, there's a lot of really wacky, weird stuff going on, like people painting numbers on their houses. Uh, there are people saying strange things, and uh, the water is just is like their fountains and stuff or whatever is wine, and it's just been sitting out there for so long that it's I guess would be over fermented or whatever. I don't know. I don't know how to make wine. I imagine if you left wine out in the sun with no containment, it would be pretty nasty. Is what I'm saying. Uh, there are uh, golden flowers on everybody's houses. Uh, and there uh, the the streets are covered in, I don't know, something. The point is, this place is really odd. He goes up to someone and asks them, for directions. Hey, do you know anybody who knows any magic? And the person just mumbles to themselves and walks away. And he does this a few times, and it keeps happening. And eventually, he walks into his shop, and he sees the shopkeeper, and he's like, "Hey, are you gonna talk to me or whatever? Do you know where I can find some magic?" Say, I will tell you because I can tell that you are from out of town, but we here in the kingdom of Ideltart are not allowed to talk to strangers on Thursdays. What do you mean you're not supposed to talk to strangers on Thursdays? Well, our king has created it on a whim that we're not allowed to talk. I don't know. There is a magic shop. I would suggest going to it tomorrow when we are allowed to talk, unless the king decides that we're not allowed to. I would suggest going to uh, Dr. Zlagowski and asking if they know anything. They have a lot of books in there. Uh, they have a lot of. Are you looking for someone who could help, a healer? Because Dr. Zigolowski is very skilled in with patients. No, I'm looking for someone who has anything to destroy a phantom. Oh, I don't know anything about a phantom. I was told that phantoms don't exist. Or at least that's what it says in the history books. And we're not allowed to complain about the history books or dispute them. So, yeah, I would go to Dr. Zigolowski. It's different every time. And ask. Whoop. Okay. Dr. Zigolowski. Dr. Zigolowski. Oh my goodness, Dr. Zigolowski. Who's Dr. Zigolowski? Uh, Dr. Liglowski is a very aloof guy that is always focused on something other than his actual patients, um, but is a fantastic doctor and is a know-it-all that, even though he's not paying attention, he doesn't need to pay attention because he already knows all the shit. I guess just medieval Doctor House. Oh no, we don't need a medieval Doctor House. We don't even need a Doctor House. Ugh. Um. So. Uh. The guy. What's his name? Was it Franz or something like that? Franz goes to. That's terrible. I already forgot the name. Franz goes to um an inn or whatever, and is like, okay, I need a bed. Uh, he doesn't really get an answer. He just kind of throws money and it's accepted, and he goes upstairs because the innkeeper is just nobody's talking. Okay, it's Thursday. You aren't allowed to talk on Thursday. So, um, Thursday happens, and it becomes Friday. So it's Friday. He goes to he follows the direction and goes to Dr. Zigolowski. And by the way, this is a character that I have kind of written as for one scene in one of my stories. And I'm pretty certain that I'm saying their name wrong. It's like Zakowski or something. We're going for Zigolowski, okay? That's what we're happening. So he goes to Dr. Zigolowski, and the guy's with a patient who's got yellow fever, and he tells our guy to stay outside because he doesn't want him getting infected. And once he's done with the patient, he tells him to go in through the back door. And, yeah, he goes into the back door and he says, "Hey, I was told that you're a pretty knowledgeable person." And Dr. Ziglowski's like, "Yeah, what about it?" Says, "Okay, so in Pelion, there is a phantom that is stealing from people and attacking. I need a way to destroy it, and I've been told that you're knowledgeable. Do you know any magic or anything?" Says, "Phantoms. While I am not allowed to confirm or deny that phantoms exist, I will tell you that there is a pearl in the of den of madness that has a powerful uh, 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 monsters be gone. Has the powerful monsters be gone. Okay? If you get this thing, it will make the monster go away. Okay? It won't kill it, but it'll go away. But you don't want to get that. I suggest just living with the phantom, because the den of madness is the den of madness. It's not. It's full of booby traps and you know, powerful uh powerful stuff. You know, crazy. I know, powerful. I know. Uh, yeah. Don't go there. Don't even think about it. I mean, phantoms, they don't even exist. So I would suggest not going there. All right? Uh, so Franz just nods, like, "Yeah, sure, whatever." Uh, do you know where this? But hypothetically, do you know where this den of madness exists? Says, "Well, I probably shouldn't tell you, but if you go to the library, you should be able to find a map. Uh, it was, it, you know, put on the map, but it's since been taken off maps. Like, you gotta find an old map. It's since been taken off because it's generally disencouraged to go to the Den of Madness. I mean, it's got collapsing caves from years of bad tunnels. You know, it's not a safe place. Don't go there. Also, there's a curse. A curse. Yeah, I don't know anything. I don't know what the curse is, but there's a curse. So just don't go to the Den of Madness, okay?" It's like, "Yeah, I won't. Thanks for the information anyway." Franz leaves and he goes to the library and he finds a map. And, while the librarian's not looking, he rips the map out of a book. He just steals it, whatever. He's like, and he, he gets, he only has enough, supplies, money for there and back, or whatever type of thing. So he goes all the way back to Pelion, and he tells the sheriff, "Hey, there is this cave. It is a little bit outside of Marvelbook, and it has a pearl that should be able to banish the phantom." It's like, okay. It's like, I was told that it was extremely dangerous. Woo! Was told that it's extremely dangerous, and I should not be going there. And he's like, "Look, I need to get rid of this fucking phantom. So here, I will give you some men and some supplies, and you make up. You go there, and you get that pearl, okay? So he goes with all that men. Uh, goes with all them men. Prince, dog. Come on, dummy. So he goes with all that men, and he travels there. I'm sure some stuff would, be happening in between all this traveling, but I'm not creative enough for it at the moment. Ugh, my improv only goes so far. He gets to the cave, and like you said, there are lots of booby traps, whatever. Poison darts and falling, Indiana Jones shit. uh, a bunch of the men die, and it's just left with him and like four other guys. Uh, Finally, he makes it. He's just like, man, this was. I mean, some people died, but there were only like, I don't know, 10 of them. So he's like, okay, that sucks. That's depressing. That'll make for some great literature. Let's say that our guy Franz, maybe he's just a little bit of a psychopath or whatever. He's like, just feed my ego. It's like, this makes great storytelling or whatever. Like a corrupt journalist kind of thing. Um. So corrupt journalist, right? Ah, he sees the pearl. It's it's on a little pedestal or whatever. It's so tiny, and he's just like, how could something so tiny be so powerful? Uh, he sees some words on the wall, but he kind of disregards it, and he picks up the pearl. Like, he does it cautiously because he's like, okay, something probably everything's a booby trap. Something's probably gonna happen. Picks it up. He's surprised. Nothing. Nothing. Okay. So he takes it, he puts it in his pocket, and him and those men get the hell out of there. So they're gone, whatever, and he goes to the sheriff, and the sheriff's like, okay, cool. Now, the last place that creature, that the phantom was seen, was in uh, Mavilda's house, or whatever. Yeah, that bitch from the Christmas tree. It was her house. Uh, so anyway, so he goes to, what is it, Madame Mavilda's house, and she's over there gambling with a phantom. Yeah, sure, whatever. Goes over there. He pulls it out. He's just like, well, I have no clue what the hell to do with this thing. So he just chucks the pearl at the phantom. Uh, the phantom runs away. And uh, he's like, cool, Phantom's gone. He picks up the pearl and he's just like, man, with this, I could go on more adventures. I'd be invincible, and I'd have many books. You know, I could be rich. I could be famous. I could have it all. So he takes the pearl, puts it in a pocket. Right. He goes. He gets his reward from the sheriff. He goes home with his riches. He tells his family, "Hey, I've done all this crap. Uh, let's not fall into a fire. Uh, I've done all this crap. And I'm gonna write the greatest book." And they're just like, "Hey, you don't have to write a book. I mean, all of that stuff that you did, like we've just written, fiction or whatever. We didn't do anything. You don't have to write a book. I mean, you've got money now. Why don't you find yourself a pretty girl and settle down?" And he's like, "No, I gotta." I'm a disappointment in the family. And they're just like, "What are you talking about?" He's just like, "No, not until I've written the greatest novel that puts you in the ground." So he locks himself up in his room and uh, spends months or something uh, writing. What time is it? Okay. Um, spends that stuff writing stuff. Yeah, yeah. He writes and writes, and soon he begins to notice that his hand starts to burn as he's writing. Uh, at first he's like, okay, it's whatever, I'm writing a lot, my wrist hurts, whatever. But at some point, it starts spreading throughout his arm, and he decides to go to a doctor. He goes to his childhood doctor, Doctor Mudplow. Well, let's just make up names, Doctor Mudplow. Uh, and she says, "No, there's nothing wrong with your arm. Maybe you should lay off the ride." And he's like, "Nonsense! I must finish it. I'm getting so close to being. This is gonna be a masterpiece or whatever." It's like, "Have you had anyone, like read your drafts or anything?" He's like, "They would only, you know, water down my work. They wouldn't understand it. Not until it's complete." It's like, "Oh, I think you're missing a fundamental part of writing." And he's just like, "You're a doctor. What do you know about writing?" He leaves. Uh, and as he writes, it just gets worse and worse and worse until all throughout his bones, he just feels burning pain. But he doesn't stop writing, no. Because he can still, it may burn, but it's not like his muscles have stopped working. He can still do it. And he keeps writing and writing. And nobody sees of him for a whole year. And, they wonder what happened, right? So the first people to go inside are his parents, or his mother. His mother's the first person. She's just like, "Okay, it's been a year. He says he's making a masterpiece. And, I'm kind of worried if he's eating and drinking and sleeping and all that junk or whatever. I want him to understand that this is not as important as he thinks it is." So she goes um, in there, and she doesn't come out. And so the father's like, "Okay, it's almost been a whole day, and I haven't seen my wife. I'm gonna go check on her. She said she was going to go, see her son or whatever." So, um, goes over there, right? The I'm thinking of, okay, this freaking fire. I might have to get some water because it is bugging me. It's whatever though. It's not that important. Um, not in because this meat is not being eaten alone. It's going into a dish, so it's not super important that it cooks at that perfect temperature. All that matters is it gets that smoky taste or whatever type thing. But whatever. Cooking aside, so the father goes up in there and he disappears, right? So, you know, the family, the rest of the family, aunts, uncles, all them people are like, okay, they've disappeared. We don't know, and they decide to, go to Franz's house or whatever because they're just like, okay, maybe he knows, maybe his parents left or something, and he knows, so we'll ask him. They go in there, they don't come out, and eventually, this happens until it starts spreading word around the town that just like, someone saw someone else go in there and then come out, and they're just like, okay, people are going into this building and they're not coming out, and the the guard or whatever of this of Marvel book are like, okay, so we're gonna go in, see what this whole thing is. Maybe Franz is a serial killer or something. This is very suspicious or whatever. Um, so a bunch of them, they go in there cautiously, and they don't see anything suspicious except for the fact that their the house seems to be rotting. There's a big hole in the ceiling. Daggone bug. I think that was a mayfly. It was big. Anyway, are you stuck? Oh, I bet that dog's stuck. Um, I need something other than my hand. I don't have anything. Oh, I have a glove right here. Let's just close that door. We want to kill the fire a little. That is a roach. Um, what was it saying? Words. Okay, so there's a big hole in the ceiling. They decide to go up the stairs, and eventually they end up in Franz's room. And that meat looks good. Oh my goodness. They go into Franz's room, right? And what happened? Okay, they see this mass of limbs and bodies hunched over at a table trying to write. Uh, and they go in with their swords and stuff or whatever, and they just kind of get absorbed into it. And the thing just falls through the ceiling where that hole is, and I guess at this point it's complete. It's got the max number of bodies on it, and as it walks, it just melts everything in its path, and Franz is nowhere to be seen no more. Uh, he leaves the building, and everywhere he walks, it just destroys everything. Um, Franz, the Spíderman, uh, starts destroying things, and it kind of leaves town. But Marvel Book is attacked by Rockworld, and they're captured, enslaved, and whoever's left, the Spider-Man just destroys. and it just wanders and wanders in all the buildings. Everywhere it steps, everything just crumbles around it. The grass dies, and it just wanders the lands for years and years and years until eventually the ground turns to sand because nothing around where the Spider-Man has walked, it's all barren land. It won't grow. Like kind of like the Dust Bowl or whatever. Like because nothing can grow. It's just yeah. That's what I was saying. Yeah, and that is the story of the Spider-Man. He makes his untimely end, or his timely end, whatever, to two adventurers who are just going to the next. Uh, they're going on a quest or whatever. They're doing their own thing. They're trying to find the big bad, uh, and come here, dumb dog. Uh, so they're going into shit. They're trying to find the big bad, and they just run into this creature, and they're just like, "What the fuck is that?" Uh, one being Reaper named Charlie, and the other being a mad woman named Miranda. She could have taken the creature on her own, but she's so freaked out by the sight of the creature that she's just like, Charlie, you're a Reaper. You hold souls. And everybody's souls are candles. Just destroy this thing's candle because fuck that. It's just like, okay, fine. I don't want to fight this thing either. I agree with you. So, um, it goes, he pulls out the candle. Miranda snatches the candle from his hand and just starts smashing it with his sword. And the thing dies, and it just melts into bones, until nothing but bones. Like all of its flesh just melts off, leaving a pile of weirdly conjoined human bones. Um, think of like the boar in Princess Mononoke, where its skin just melts, leaving the bones. You know what I'm talking about? If you do, then you're pretty cool. You're pretty cultured. All that jazz. Okay, so that's the story of the Spider-Man. It has ate up all of our time. That's cool. That's good. Um, our fires is finally dying down. And yeah, let's just do all of that. Let's get all that heat to dissipate. So the fire is lowered. That way we can set everything up all over again. Let me get a thermometer. I will be right back. We are back. We shall. Oh man. I cannot. Whoop. Let's see what that is. Okay. Let's keep going. That's not high enough for me. Anyway, we've got our meat at 111. Yeah, video's over. Maybe you'll subscribe. Maybe you enjoyed this video. Maybe you want to watch some other videos. Maybe you want to like. Maybe you want to subscribe. Maybe you hate me. If so, go away. Or don't. Stay. I don't really care. Just, I hope you're having a good time. If you don't have a good time, you don't have a good time. If I don't have a good time, I don't have a good time. What is everything? It's food, man. Let's close this shit. It's my. There it is. Let's close this shit. Ooh. Meat. This is gonna make some good meat. I'm excited. That's all I've got to say. I'm excited for some good food. Looking good. See you later, alligators. Bye.